Hey everyone, James Niggemeyer here. Today I want to talk about a bait that I feel like flies under the radar for when bass are in the shallows and either in pre-spawn, spawn, or post-spawn, but in that time of year when they're up there shallow, either territorial about areas or just either in preparation or finishing up with the spawn. Here I am in East Texas and it's April 1st, and really their spawn's probably been going on for about a month, but probably the biggest wave, or what I would like to say is the time of year when there are more fish spawning than any other time, is probably around the 1st of April. I feel like 1st of April to the second week of April, there's just a lot of fish that are up in that zone, procreating, making more babies, so that there's more bass for us to catch in the future. I think it's really hard to beat day in, day out, regardless of the conditions, a Yamamoto Sanko. And I think that's what most of us, including myself, will gravitate towards. We will go with that bait and fish it a number of different ways, and that's one of the beauties of it, is it's so versatile. I can put it on a Texas rig with a bullet weight, 3/16, quarter ounce, 3/8, and I can flip it into cover, pitch it around timber, grass, any kind of cover in the water, and it's just a great bait to catch fish with on that setup. But I can also wacky rig it. I can Nico rig it, which is basically a wacky rig with a nail weight inside the head, and I can Texas rig it weightless. So there's a number of different ways to fish it, and I mean I can even put a little tail spinner in the back. We won't get into that. But let's just face it, the wacky rig Sanko, or the Sanko in and of itself, just a phenomenal bait. Lots of action, great colors, super soft, fish bite it. So it's hard not to want to fish that. But for where I live, Texas and into Louisiana and Florida, a lot of people will fish a soft jerkbait. And we'll fish it weightless in a lot of different areas. In your watermelon red, green pumpkin, watermelon candy, those types of colors. And I feel like this is a bait that really just flies under the radar, and it does really well here in Texas from, kind of pre-spawn all the way through the post-spawn, and even into where the bluegill might be spawning, and there's a lot of bluegill or panfish up there, and they're getting ready to do their things. This is a great bluegill imitator, believe it or not. But a pot-bellied or shad profile soft jerkbait like this is just really good. So I'm going to go over just some ways that I like to rig it. And more recently, I've been fishing the Yamamoto D-shad. The Yamamoto D-shad looks real similar to more of your other type soft jerkbaits. However, this has that same type of salt to plastic ratio that your Yamamoto Sanko does. So this bait is going to throw better than, say, your traditional just regular plastic type soft jerk baits. And recently on a guide trip, we were fishing wacky rig Sankos, 4-inch, 5-inch, and catching fish, and that kind of slowed. And so I thought, man, maybe I'll try a soft jerk bait. So I grabbed a bag of my Yamamoto D-shads, watermelon red, and I just Texas rigged it, just like this, no weight, and I began casting it around just scattered or isolated clumps of weeds. And it's really easy to cast, again, in the wind or without a weight, and really it just throws really well, sinks well, again, because it has that same type formula as the Yamamoto Sanko. And we just began catching fish. I caught like 2 or 3, and then I asked my guide client, I said, why don't you put down that Yamamoto Sanko and try this D-shad? And we fished it weightless, and it was like the fish preferred this over the Sanko. And I've seen this over the years where bass will actually prefer that type of kind of bait fish profile. And I've actually thrown these types of soft jerk baits around bedding fish that I could visually see, and it'll draw a reaction strike out of them. And it's just something that I think not a lot of people really talk about. You don't really hear many of the pros talk about this bait or presentation. Everyone just kind of leans on a Yamamoto Senko, and for good reason. And I'm not saying you don't want to throw the Senko and you just want to start throwing a soft plastic jerk bait, but add this to your arsenal. It's a great way to catch them. And this one has that same type of a slit in it. It's a little bit, I think it's just a little bit beefier, which I like that profile. But also it doesn't have that forked tail, but it's got a unique tail. Not only is it wide across the bottom, but you can see right there perpendicularly across the bottom of this tail, it actually has like a little, kind of a cross. Let me see, I'll flip it up and show it to you a little bit better. How about this way? See, it has that little down, kind of like a rudder, and it will just catch water. And as I cast this around and throw it into the water, and just let it fall on a slack line, that little tail is just shimmying and it's just kicking, and it looks like something that's alive. And there's no doubt that the fish like it, catch fish on it. And it's just something that I wanted to share with you guys, because if you're not already throwing this type of bait and you're kind of stuck on the Senko like most of us are, definitely give the Yamamoto D-Shad a chance in these shallow areas, your spawning areas, your grassy areas, weeds, wood, reeds, lily pads, different things like that. And the ways that I like to fish it, I mean, generally I'm fishing it with an owner offset worm wide gap. And this is a hook that I throw a lot of, and works really well with it. And one of the things that I like about, a couple of things that I like about it, is it's got a XXX strong wire. So I like that heavier wire when I'm, say, throwing it on 14 or 16 or even 20-pound test fluorocarbon around heavier cover. I like that, and I like the cutting point. I don't know if you can see that, but owner makes that cutting point right there, and I feel like it penetrates through the cartilage in the cheek. It hooks them well, and it's been a great hook, and I'll fish Texas rigs with this. I do a lot of different things like that. But if you're fishing lighter weights and sparse cover, different things like that, I might even go with just the 5/0 all-purpose round bend, and that's the hook right there. It's maybe more of a medium heavy instead of a heavy wire, and it works well for that scenario also. Just Texas rigging it like you would any other soft plastic, and then I'll just poke the tip of the hook right out of the top right there, as you can see, and then I'll kind of re-embed it to skin hook it, and that's really weedless. Just a great way to catch them. It's an alternative to the Senko. I feel like there are times when the fish will actually prefer this bait over the Senko. So don't overlook this. Don't sleep on the Yamamoto D-Shad. Excellent way to catch them in the spring that not a lot of people are talking about. That's it for now, guys. Thanks for tuning into my YouTube channel, and until next time, good fishing.